Ladies and gentlemen, welcome today to another edition of NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 as we are live at the Sirius at the Glen 400 today for the Cup Series edition of the custom schedule season. 5 races to go into crowning a champion on this game for the Cup Series for this full season points format. And our driver Greg Biffle has a 205-point lead over Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is second in points, and a 261-point lead over Jeff Gordon, who is third in points. 3-horse race for the championship with 5 races to go as of right now. Just over 1 race points lead for Greg Biffle. So no matter what happens today, he will still have the points lead going into the final 4 races of the year. But how much, we'll have to find out here over the next 90 laps for the Sirius at the Glen 400. Greg Biffle qualified 9th for today's race, so he's starting in the top 10, but interested to see how this is going to go. Watkins Glen is a racetrack that usually brings quite a few cautions on this game. And even between NASCAR Thunder 2004 and NASCAR 05, we seem to have at least 5 cautions, 5 to 10 usually in this race. So I think we'll see quite a few yellows today. We'll see how the pit strategy will play out because of it. And maybe a potential fuel mileage race as well, as we've seen at Watkins Glen in the past before the stage racing era. So like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get started with today's doubleheader, because following this we'll have live commentary for the Dover NASCAR Cup Series race, the Duramax Dryden 400. That will be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, starting with our pre-race live stream. So thank you everybody for tuning in today. Mark DeMars, R6, Alan Barkley, and Nuojoji, welcome to the stream. And welcome everybody else that is tuning in for the first time that is not already in the chat down below as well. Let me get the rest of the chat up on my stream right now, and then we'll get started with this race today. There we go. 43 drivers set to take the green, and we are underway at Watkins Glen. 90 laps of racing. Biffle already going to pull out of line, crossing the start-finish line, looking to make a pass, potentially 3 wide into turn 1. Contact with Robbie Gordon. Gordon, a former winner at Watkins Glen. Still 3 wide. Are they going to make it into the S's? More contact with Robbie Gordon. Luckily, they were side by side when they made contact. Otherwise, they probably weren't going to make it into the S's 3 wide. It was an aggressive move by Greg Biffle on lap 1, but it looks like he's going to be able to make the pass. And now he's looking underneath the 15 car of Michael Waltrip, who has ran well on road courses this season. Has a win on one of them. Side by side into the bus stop. Contact between Mark Martin and the 109 car. Into the bus stop. Everybody makes it through on lap 1. That stacked up Greg Biffle a little bit. Had to go out in the grass because he wasn't sure if the 2 cars in front of him were going to wreck or not. And down into turn 6. Big run on Martin. Pulled out of line as Martin was trying to get around the 109 car himself. And at the front of the field, it'll be Jeff Gordon, who is going to come off of turn 7 and lead the opening lap of tonight's race at the Glen. Today's race, I should say. I guess we're racing on a Sunday afternoon. Martin definitely looks faster than the 109 car right now. Wade Solinsky, welcome to the stream. Back at it after a night off last night on the channel. And a doubleheader for the Busch Series on Friday. Biffle to the inside of Mark Martin. In the bus stop. He's going to be on the outside, though, into turn 5. This is already tight between the 2 Roush Fenway teammates. Will they make contact? Martin definitely not giving Biffle a lot of room. Still side by side between Martin and Biffle into turn 6. Biffle will have the inside lane and the advantage down low. And a little contact in the clearance of Mark Martin off the exit of turn 6. And moves the 107 up out of the way a little bit. Biffle trying to break away from the 109 car, making sure he wasn't going to try to side draft him. Now he just ran right into the side of him. Heading down into turn 1. Pass is made for 4th for the Biff. Dale Jr. in 2nd, looking for the race lead on Jeff Gordon. Gordon, a 4-time Watkins Glen winner. Won 3 in a row in the late 90s and also had a win here in 2001. Looking for his 5th Watkins Glen win today. Obviously having the track position to start things off was very good for him. If we'll try to run down Tony Stewart in 3rd. Stewart's had a good string of races as of late. Got a decent amount of laps in the last few races. Greg Biffle, obviously the hottest driver right now in the Cup Series, heading into the Glen today. He's got a few road course wins on the season, but he also has 3 of his 3 DNFs on road course races this year. The good news for Biffle, though, those are all on fantasy road course racetracks. And this being an actual Cup Series racetrack even to this day at Watkins Glen, that may bode well for him. 2 questions. What is... Oh, jeez. Sorry about that. I'm trying to read. Try not to miss a corner at the same time. Favorite NASCAR track of all time? Bristol, for sure. It's definitely Bristol for me. That was both when I was a kid and even to this day. After being at Bristol, being at a lot of racetracks, there's still a few tracks that I haven't been to yet. Most of them on the West Coast except for Auto Club. I haven't been to Texas. Kansas will be a first for me later this year. So there are some tracks, but I've been to a lot of the major racetracks in the sport. I'd say that Daytona is a very close second as far as at the track, as well as Talladega probably up there in the top 3 as well. But Bristol's definitely my favorite race track, and always has been. I think it always will be. Michael Turner, happy race day to you as well. And do I watch IndyCar? I watch IndyCar from time to time. Not religiously like I do with NASCAR, where I watch every Cup race since I can remember. Been a long time since I've missed one. Usually I'll watch it if it's like a Saturday race, like a Saturday night race and the Cup race isn't going on, like with Texas earlier this year, or, you know, something of that nature. Biffle locking the tires up and into the wall in the bus stop. Had a bit of a wheel hop that time, and it was more of the rear tires that got locked up and caused him to get into the guardrail. He lost a lot of time on this lap to the leaders. Ashton Township Fire Department, welcome to the stream as well. You were at the Xfinity race yesterday. Nice. Hopefully you have fun today, assuming you're going to be at the Cup race as well. Definitely make it a priority to watch the Indy 500 every year too. And I'll be at the Indy 500 later this year. Well, later this month, I guess. Now it's the month of May. Jeff Gordon's led all 5 laps so far of the 90. Caution free in the early going of today's race. Should be a scheduled 2-stop race, but cautions may make it a 1-stopper at some point in this one. So we'll have to pay attention how many caution laps we get, because that'll definitely help these drivers save fuel to be able to potentially make it a 1-stop. We're going to need quite a few yellows for that to happen, but I don't doubt that that could happen today. So we'll definitely keep track of all the caution laps we end up running. Try to make as educated of a guess as possible as to how many laps exactly that we can lead. We meaning Greg Biffle. Or not lead, but how many laps Biffle can make it on fuel. Throwing the caution laps in with that for when he decides to make his first stop. Whether it would be the first and the last or just the first of 2. Biffle's quickly starting to run down Tony Stewart again. He definitely couldn't get around him when he was sitting behind him. He wasn't really within striking distance to make the pass on him, though, either. If Stewart made a mistake, he was going to be there, but Stewart wasn't making any mistakes, at least for the short term, and Biffle was behind him for a few laps. It's definitely a 4-car breakaway, though, from the rest of the field. You can see how packed together they all are. Pretty much from 5th on back still. Biffle locking up the front tires just a bit into turn 6. At least didn't wheel hop at that time. Otherwise, he would have been off into the sand. And definitely closed on Stewart in those final couple corners that last lap. That was the fastest lap of the first 7 ran by Biffle so far, 1:11.109. And makes the charge, beating Stewart back to the throttle. Off the exit of turn 1, side by side into the S's. This is a tough area of the racetrack to run side by side. We saw in lap 1 how difficult it was when they were just getting up to speed. Biffle sliding a bit sideways, trying to hang on with Tony Stewart. And it looks like Stewart's going to have him for now. And Biffle's just going to have to back in line behind him into the bus stop. So Stewart holds on. Biffle going a bit wide that time. He's going to have to lift in the middle of the bus stop. And Stewart beats him back to the throttle. And gaps him just a bit on lap 8 for 3rd place on that battle as Gordon continues to lead over Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the rest of the field. Dark Crypto, welcome to the stream. Already 8 likes, and we're on lap number 8 right now. Make that 9 likes. Definitely like and subscribe if you are new for more daily NASCAR content. Again, real race commentary on the weekends. The actual races, as you're going to see later today, as well as the video game stuff during the week. But a doubleheader today. I think it's the first time this year I've done video game race the same day as a real race commentary. But not streaming yesterday. I wanted to still keep everything on track with the midweek streams. Biffle's got a run on Stewart. Oh, little contact between the 2 cars. Slowing Biffle down off the exit of the S as Stewart's going to pull him a bit, so Biffle hops back in the draft. Into the bus stop they go. Slides underneath Stewart. Stewart in the 20 on the inside into turn 5. Biffle on the outside. Biffle trying to get the apex in the middle of the corner and get the drive off. And Stewart's putting up a good fight for right now. Stewart's going to hold the bottom into turn 6. Biffle to the outside to overtake him. What a move by Greg Biffle. Stewart blocked the inside. Biffle had a big run still. Went high at the last second and still got around Tony Stewart in turn 6. That was a beautiful move. And that finally moves him up to 3rd. We'll see if he's got anything for Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon. Very tough racetrack to pass on. Tend to have to qualify very, very high up in the field to even be in contention to win this race. But again, we'll see how the pit strategy will play a factor in things today as well. I do have a poll in the community tab as far as for your guys' predictions of who may win today's Cup Series race at Dover. So definitely vote in that poll if you haven't already. That way during today's live stream of the live commentary of the race, we can talk a little bit about those drivers and more in the pre-race and what your guys' votes are. Maybe it's none of the 4 and you picked other. Caution, lap 10, our first of the day. I mentioned we were going to get some cautions in this one. Took 10 laps, but we have our first. And it looks like the 142 car has a problem of some sort. Very slow. It's almost like he blew a tire off of the exit of the S's. He was at the rear of the field. But it looked like he blew a tire, was able to keep it off the wall, but we have our first caution. And we'll see what's going to happen here. It looks like everybody's going to stay out of the pits. Biffle just decided to do with the leaders. If they were going to pit, he was going to pit too, but that is not the case. So he'll stay out, keep his track position. And we'll head to the next restart. Single file restart. Green flag back in the air at lap 14. Tony Stewart pulling down to the inside, trying to get around Jeff Gordon on the restart. Biffle goes a bit wide. Tony Stewart's underneath him, and they're 2x2 now. Dale Jr. on the inside of Jeff Gordon has timed the restart out well. Stewart's going to be able to clear Greg Biffle. Biffle with a crossover and the Esses. Can Dale Jr. clear Tony Stewart to take away the lead from Gordon, who has led the first 13 laps tonight? Side by side and 2x2 into the bus stop. Biffle trying to get underneath Gordon. There's a bit of contact and Biffle's going to go wide. He's out in the grass. After contact with Jeff Gordon, Gordon's in the wall on the outside, and Dale Jr. will pull away with the race lead. And now contact with Stewart into turn 6, gets into the back of him, and that's going to cost him a position. And Casey Kane is now up to 5th place, or 4th rather. And the rookie still trying to get his first win of the season. He's only got a few more races to try and do it. Biffle hops in line in the draft behind Kane. Stewart's going for 2nd on Jeff Gordon as Dale Jr. leads. Yes, this is the first lap, it was now the 2nd lap after the restart. Contact between Biffle and Kane. Kane gonna go wide, Biffle's got the position. There was a caution at lap 10. The 142 car blew a tire off the exit of the S's, bringing out the first yellow of the race. Again, that was at lap 10. Everybody stayed out of the pits. So everybody's still on the same pit strategy right now. Stewart not going to be able to charge as hard as Gordon. Biffle gains a lot of ground on Stewart that time in the bus stop. And into turn 5. Biffle's underneath Stewart. He got around him on the outside earlier. Ooh, contact. Between the 20 and the 16. Biffle into Stewart, into turn 6. Biffle going to go really wide that time. Losing spots to Casey Kane and Elliott Sadler, dropping the Biff back to 6th place, rather. Almost said 9th. This track is more narrow than what people tend to expect. Remember, there's no excess pavement either. A large way around this racetrack, turn 6, turn 1, where you would see the access pavement now. Turn 5, that's all grass in this area, so lap times aren't going to be as fast because you can't really get back to the gas as soon as what you could now. And that's why Biffle's fastest lap, even though he's been as high as 3rd today, is a 111.109. Usually now you'd see lap times 106, 107, 108. Closes in turn 6. That's definitely been one of his better corners today. Biffle did not have a good restart, though, losing 3 positions in the first few laps. And Dale Jr.'s got a pretty big lead on the field right now. He comes in 2nd in points. He's obviously leading his first laps. Gordon led the first 13. Up until that caution when Jr. was able to jump the restart and get around it. Biffle with a great move underneath Elliott Sadler makes the pass, and now he pulls alongside Casey Kane. That was a great corner in turn 1 for Biff. Side by side into the S's with Kane. Will they be able to hold it without any contact with one another? Looks like they will, and Greg... Oh, no, never mind. Spoke too soon. Kane gets moved wide. Sadler up to 5th. Biffle to 4th. Sadler will look low into the bus stop. Not going to be able to make the pass on Biffle. Sadler's, in fact, going to go wide, and he's out in the grass. He overruns the bus stop, comes back up onto the racetrack, nearly into Casey Kane, but holds on to 5th place. A little bit of breathing room now behind the Biff. After Sadler's mistake. Tyler Burback, welcome to the stream. Yep, I did see that earlier in the week. No NASCAR game will be released in 2022. Looks like spring of 2023 will be the next release, but they will have an update. The next-gen cars in the 2022 schedule and roster for the Cup Series in the next game. Well, in NASCAR 21 Ignition. And that is scheduled for September. Stewart Squeezing Biffle. Almost squeezed him into the outside wall. Biffle had to get way out of the gas to keep it off the guardrail. Tony Stewart's still trying hard right now to not only fend off Biffle for third, but get around Gordon for second, as it looks like Stewart is definitely a little bit quicker than the 24, but we know Biffle's quicker than the 20, just based off of him getting around him earlier in the race. Last lap was Biffle's fastest, 1:11.007. Biffle closes on Stewart into 6. He's right back to him again into turn 7. All over the back of Stewart. Looks to the inside. Biffle on the bottom. Stewart trying to stay in the draft of Jeff Gordon on the outside. Biffle on the bottom into turn 1, trying to make the pass on Stewart. Just a bit of contact, but that's enough for Biffle to make the pass for third. So Biffle right back to where he restarted in the third place position, and he's about a 1.6 second deficit to race leader Dale Jr., and he's right on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon for second place. It'll be lap 20 this time by. One of the shorter races in the Cup Series, even to this day. 90 laps is not going to be a long time around this nearly 2.5 mile road course. Gordon trying to block the bottom. Biffle, nowhere to go. Couldn't go top or bottom on Jeff Gordon in turn 6 that time. Great defense from Gordon. Biffle closes on him in turn 7, gets to the inside of the 24. He just flat out beat him that time. Trying to go low. Gordon's trying to side draft the left rear corner panel of Biffle on the front stretch into turn 1. Biffle's got to clear Gordon in the braking zone. Clean pass for second place. And his eyes are now locked on race leader Dale Jr. Biffle's not led yet today. This is as high in the running order as he has been now. First time he's been up to second place. It takes time to make passes at this racetrack. That's why it's crucial why Biffle qualified in the top 10. Even though he qualified 9th, he was able to get a few spots on lap 1. Kind of settled in line in 6th for a few laps. And just methodically has made his way up to second. I agree with you 100% on that, Tyler. Your hot take in the chat. 70 laps to go. Haven't hit halfway on fuel yet. We had one yellow, so a few caution laps. So if they don't get a caution to lap 28, actually really around lap 25, if we don't get a caution and they can get through 25 laps without it saying halfway on fuel, they should make it on one pit stop as long as we have a caution in the second half of the race. Probably closer to about lap 28 if we don't get a caution the rest of the race, that they can make it on fuel to the end on just one pit stop. So we may see some drivers short pit potentially in about another 10 laps or so. I don't know how Chris Buescher qualified on the pole. I was at work yesterday, didn't get to watch it, so when I saw that he was on the pole last night, I was like, what? Chris Buescher's on the pole? He wasn't even in the top 15 in practice. I don't know how he got that speed to just jump up the board that quick, qualify on the pole, but good for Buescher. Talk more about him and the predictions side of things when the live stream starts for today's Dover race. Talk more in depth about it. Yeah, definitely shocking that he got the pole. Biffle slowly closing in on Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the lead. He's cut the lead down to about a half a second. Definitely as close to the race lead as he's been in the early going of today's race. Biffle closes a lot in turn 6 as well. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today when we get back to the start-finish line this time by. Actually, we'll wait, because we may have a battle for the lead between the 16 and the 8. Into turn 1, Biffle closes again. Junior slides the tires a bit. There's contact. They're hooked on each other as they go wide off of turn 1. I thought they were both going to end up in the outside wall or in the sand. Junior got a little sideways. Biffle tried to jump to the outside of him, and he got into his right rear, and they were kind of hung up on each other, making a bit of contact. Junior going wide in the bus stop. Big bounce off the curb by the 8. He gets sideways into turn 5, and Biffle will jump to the inside. Side by side for the race lead. But Biffle cannot clear the 8 car. And Junior is still there. He knows Biffle's the points leader. He really doesn't want to give this lead up if he can't. But Biffle outbreaks him into turn 6 and clears him on the outside of the racetrack. New leader, Greg Biffle, off of turn 7. And back to the start-finish line. Now we'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in today's race. Halfway on fuel, lap 24. That's very interesting because that is very close to being able to make it on fuel the rest of this race on one stop. And we had 3 caution laps, so be closer to about 21 green flag laps we've ran so far. I guess 20 completed green flag laps. You're probably looking at about 40 laps a run, which would only take us to 80 laps on one stop. And yep, that was Biffle's first lap led, so 5 bonus points now for each of the top 3 in the point standings in today's race at Watkins Glen. Just wonder how far these guys are going to be able to go before we potentially see the first caution. They decide, do I want to go one stop or 2? That's why if a caution comes out really at any point here, it's going to be a big decision for Greg Biffle to have to make on whether you stay out, keep the lead, or if you pit. That's if he has the lead still, because Dale Jr. is gawking him from behind. Dale Jr. never won on a road course in his NASCAR Cup Series career. Neither did Greg Biffle, but we got some wins with Biffle this season, and Dale Jr.'s only win this year came on a road course at the Texas road course midway through the season. Biffle looking for 3 wins in a row today, and it would be 4 of the last 5 if he goes to victory lane as well. Top 2s in all those races. Top 2s in the last 6 to be exact, because he even had a second place at Michigan that he had come from a little bit of a ways back. Long ways back in the field. 1 point in that one. Also field thinking 2 stops out, and as of right now it's looking that way for Greg Biffle also. Biffle went a bit wide in turn 1 that time. Dale Jr. was able to close the gap just a bit. Biffle did beat him back to the throttle. It's going to help the Biff out a little bit. Final road course race of the season. All done with the fantasy tracks this year after the most recent race at the Levi Strauss Signature Speedway as well. Still have trips to California, Bristol for the night race in the Sharpie 500. A race at Chicagoland, and then the season finale is at Talladega. Those are the final 4 races of the year for the Cup Series on NASCAR 05. Tomorrow night's live stream is going to be on NASCAR 21 Ignition. We'll go back to that game for the first time in a few weeks. Next race will be the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow evening. It's going to be a little bit before we get to the next Cup Series race on this game. We got Busch Series races to try and catch up on. We still have 10 races to go on that season. Only, again, 4 after today's race on this season. Definitely looks like third place is closed in on Dale Earnhardt Jr. I believe Jeff Gordon is still in third and Tony Stewart is in fourth. And we have a caution, lap 27. So our second caution of the race today after our longest of the 2 green flag runs. That time was about 14 laps. It looks like trouble in turn 6 for a couple drivers. The 169 of Jimmy Lane and then the 42 of Jamie McMurray. Jimmy Lane, I think Lane had contact from Terry Labonte from behind, which sent him into the 42 of Jamie McMurray, and both the 42 and the 169 get up, sent off into the sand. So Greg Biffle is going to pit. And we'll see if the rest of the field comes with him, and that looks to be the case. So 4 tires and fuel for the Biff. It looks like it's a 2-stop race today with this caution at lap 27. And we will be seeing pit stops for the first time. And now we're also going to be able to see who is going to win the race off of pit road. So it will be an important one for track position purposes. Reverse style pit stops at Watkins Glen today, having to service the left side of the car before the right side, fueling from the right side as well. It's going to be awkward for all 43 of these pit teams today, and the race off of pit road is won by Jeff Gordon. It's like Biffle will roll off third, so Dale Jr. and Greg Biffle both lose a few spots on pit road, and Gordon, who was third at the time of the caution, will be the leader. First and second will be third and fourth, and then third and fourth is going to be first and second. Coming to the restart. Great stop by the 24 team. It was a clean stop on the 16. Green flag back in the air, lap 31. Tony Stewart looking to the inside. Biff will get a look even lower than Stewart into turn 1. Looking to get some position back. Slides off the curbing. Gets to the inside of Stewart. And we got a battle for second on the restart. Jeff Gordon going to hold on to the lead. Second time he's led in this race today. Biffle has cleared Stewart in the middle of the Esses with a clean pass for second. Great jump by the 16. A lot better of a restart than what he had the last time already. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Ethan. Biffle to the outside of Gordon, into the bus stop. Gordon squeezes the 16, but Gordon goes wide. And Stewart goes up the middle, 3 wide to take the lead. Gordon loses about 4 positions. Dale Jr.'s up to third. Tony Stewart shot through the middle. And he's looking to lead his first lap of the race. His teammate Bobby Labonte jumped up to fourth with a great restart of his own. Biffle on the inside of Stewart, not going to be able to take the lead in turn 6. Dale Jr. to the inside of Biffle into turn 7. Biffle going to have to stay a bit wide. Give Jr. a little bit of room, and now he'll throw the block middle of the front stretch on the 8. Jr. charging hard into turn 1 again. Biffle gets down to the bottom, blocks Dale Jr. Gordon back to the inside of Labonte for 4th place. Biffle closes in turn 1 on Stewart off the exit of the corner. So Stewart leads the first lap from the restart after restarting in second. Gordon was a big loser there, losing 4 spots. Made an aggressive move to try to hold off the 16 of Biffle. It did not work. Contact between Stewart and Biffle. Both cars in the sand as they go wide. Stewart nearly slides to a stop. Biffle gets back out onto the racetrack, and he is going to lose about 6 positions, maybe 5. Stewart loses even more. And Dale Jr.'s in the race lead again. Biffle's back to 7th. I don't know how they made the contact they did there, but they did make contact. Biffle gets around his teammate Jeff Burton for 6th quickly. Ward Burton in the top 5 right now, having a good run. Ward Burton, even though he just got passed in turn 1 by Greg Biffle, still sitting in the 6th position. Rusty Wallace with a big block on Greg Biffle. Biffle to the outside. Wallace squeezes him. They're making contact, getting hung up on each other. Wallace was desperate to try and hold on for 4th place. Biffle not going to have any of it. That's going to send Wallace on the outside into turn 5 and move Ward Burton back inside the top 5 as he runs in the 5th place position again. Biffle trying to close on Bobby Labonte for 3rd. And Dale Jr. leading for the first time today. Or 2nd time today, rather. And Jeff Gordon right behind him, who's led 2 times himself already. Bobby Labonte in a race high 3rd place position. Biffle's gotten back to 4th after sliding back to 7th. A couple laps after the restart. Closes on Bobby Labonte, but he's going to go wide. Off into the grass goes Greg Biffle. Didn't lose any positions. Lost a little bit of a gap to Labonte, a few car lengths worth. Restarts have definitely been pretty crazy so far today. The first couple we have had. Again, it's a 1-stopper from here to the end. 2 stops total, which I kind of figured it was going to be coming into the race. Everybody pitted during the caution at lap 27 for their first stop. Well, Gordon was looking like he was winning the battle in the short term of things. By winning the race off of the pits, he is in 2nd. He did fall back to about 5th place, so to get up to 2nd as quickly as he did, it's definitely good for Gordon. Biffle to the inside of Labonte into the S's with a great corner through turn 1. Biffle is clear with a clean pass. It's a good thing he cleared him in the S's like he did. Didn't want to be side by side going through there again. Little mistake there from Biffle off the exit of the S's, and Labonte's got a big run on him again into the bus stop. Biffle going to block the bottom. Labonte backs out of the gas, drops in line again behind Biffle. Smart move from Labonte. And the top 3 in points run 1, 2, 3 again today. Not in the exact order they're running in the point standings, but in the top 3 nevertheless. Biffle's only led a few laps in this race. He led for about 3 or 4 laps before the caution came out, the most recent one. Obviously didn't cycle to the lead after the restart. Lost 2 spots back to 3rd, and that's where he sits right now. Jeff Gordon took a peek to the inside in turn 1 on Dale Earnhardt Jr. As they battle for the lead, that will allow Biffle to close the gap. I think you may have to consider short pitting, knowing how many cautions we've already seen in this race. I know it's only been 2, but I expected us to get around 5 cautions in today's race, so I don't think the yellows are done. You just wonder. You know you're not going to lose a lap if you short pit at Watkins Glen, with it being a road course. So if you short pit to try and get track position, which is so important at this racetrack, to get yourself in the lead if we get a caution in the final 40 laps of the race, I think that that's a good position, because we're going to see other drivers short pit, and you don't want to have to be lined up halfway through the field because you pitted after them because of a caution, and you know you're not going to be able to go halfway through the field in less than 40 laps. I just don't think it's possible on this game at this track. And get back to the lead. Or around there. Especially if we get later in the race, cautions can breed more cautions. Biffle to the inside of Jeff Gordon. In the bus stop, Gordon hit his marks pretty good. Gordon down to the bottom in turn 5. Biffle on the outside. Biffle holding on strong for now. Side drafts Jeff Gordon. Dale Jr. right in front of both of them. Jr. going to block the bottom lane. Here goes Gordon. They're 3 wide for the lead in turn 6. I am surprised they didn't make any contact with one another there. Gordon's challenging hard. Now he's on the inside. And now they're 3 wide on the main straightaway for the race lead. There's no way they're going to make it 3 wide consistently, and they're going to try it in turn 1. Contact with Gordon. Gordon just busted his way up the middle to get to the lead. What a gutsy move at the middle, 3 wide. Moving the 16 of Biffle up out of the way to take the lead. Dale Jr. back to 3rd, Biffle to 2nd. I didn't think they were going to make it without any contact. Jeff Gordon just was determined to get out with the lead off the exit of turn 1, and he got it. Jr. lifted a little extra in the bus stop to keep it off of Biffle. Biffle goes a bit wide off the exit of the bus stop, and that messed his entry up into turn 1. Gordon ahead by about 2 to 3 car lengths over the 16 car. Coming to lap 39 this time by. Look at how much. Biffle closes on Gordon. Gordon is moved out of the way by the Biff. The Biffle couldn't clear him, and Gordon will be on the bottom into turn 7. And he'll hold on to the lead for now. Biffle tried to move him back. Gordon moved him for the battle for the lead earlier. Biffle on the outside into turn 1. That's not going to work out very well for him. Jeff Gordon holds on. These guys are being aggressive. Dale Jr. lost a lot of time in the second half of that last lap to the top 2. Into the bus stop. Biffle trying to force Gordon into a mistake. Biffle rounding off turn 5. Trying to get around Jeff Gordon desperately. Still can't do it. Oh man, Gordon just squeezes the 16. Biffle still can't get around him. Side by side into turn 1. Biffle clears Gordon. Gordon led that last lap, but Greg Biffle will have the lead into the S's. Lap 40, first time Biffle has led since the restart, assuming he holds on to the lead to make it an official lead change back to the start-finish line this time by. Closing in on about halfway at the Glen for the serious at the Glen. The serious at the Glen. Gordon is going to make another big mistake. He's off in the grass in the bus stop like he was on the restart, and that time it was when he was in 2nd. He's going to lose some valuable race time to Biffle in front of him. And Dale Jr. has closed up on Gordon in a battle for 2nd. Biffle's got about 7 to 8 tenths of a second lead now over Gordon with Gordon's mistake this lap. Whatever draft Gordon may get on the main straightaway, Biffle's going to try to break it down to the inside. Pit window may open to the end of the race. We get a caution or two in the second half of this race. About 40 to go. I don't think Biffle wants to pit right when that window opens. But he's definitely going to have to consider short pitting, knowing that there will be some drivers to do it. And you can't imagine that this race is going to stay green to the end. If we get a caution before then, do you decide to pit? You know you can't make it on field to the end from here, so you probably would consider staying out, I'd have to assume. It's going to bunch the field back together, obviously, for another restart. If we go a few laps into the restart, then we'll be within the window. If the field is bunched together as they will, I don't think anybody would go a lap down short pitting. Really, the only cars that would consider going a lap down short pitting now is if you're in the back half of the field. But if you're in the top half of the field still, I think short pitting is definitely a great option, because you know you're not going to lose your lap. Since Gordon made that mistake a couple laps ago, Biffle quickly was about 8 tenths of a second ahead of him, and Biffle's been about 2 tenths of a second faster each of the last 2 laps since Gordon's mistake at the bus stop. So with the clean air, Biffle is definitely slowly pulling away. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles once again for the final time in today's race. For about the next 8 laps. While Biffle has the lead. Been a great race so far. Very unpredictable. I will say this is one of the more unpredictable races on the NASCAR EA Sports video games, just because we see a decent amount of cautions, and it's just hard to play the strategy game and decide what the strategy is. The strategy races are typically road course races. There are some other tracks where it could turn into strategy races, but this is definitely always a track that produces a lot of strategy play in NASCAR, and you're seeing that on full display today. And I don't think it's going to be done anytime soon, until that final stop is made at least. The playbook is wide open to the end as far as what the calls will be for these teams. Biffle about 3 tenths of a second quicker than Gordon the last lap. And he's got about a 1.5 second lead off of turn 7 this time by. By the way, that last lap for Biffle was his fastest of the day. Not this one, but the lap before that, a 1:10.959. So first time he's been in the 1 minute 10 second lap time barrier today. It's faster than what he ran in qualifying for sure when he qualified 9th. I'm not sure what the pole time was exactly from Gordon, who had qualified on the pole. Richmond was a great race. I liked the strat. Yeah, I thought so too. That was a lot of fun to watch, to see how that played out at the very end, and it was entertaining because you had really 3 different strategies at the end of the race. You had Byron leading his strategy, Truex leading his, and then Hamlin and Harvick leading theirs. And it was fun to see who was going to end up winning there those final 30, 35 laps. At first, I didn't think Hamlin had a shot, but after about 10 laps, I was like, I think he's going to get there. think he's easily going to get there. He ended up getting there with about 6 to go. Not the same strategy in this one. Everybody's going to be on 2 stops, but it's going to be on when you make the second one. Everybody pitted at the same time on the first stop because of the way the cautions played out earlier. Everybody stayed out during the first yellow and pitted during the second. Went green at lap 31. You definitely just don't want to be back in traffic, especially in the second half of the race. And especially if you're in the top 3 in points and still have a shot at the championship. And right now you're running 1, 2, 3, but you want to try to find that way to get ahead of the others and stay ahead. So I think it's safe to say Greg Biffle has the fastest car today. He hasn't led the most laps today. Gordon and Jr. probably both led more laps than him. That's only because they qualified a lot further towards the front of the field. Biffle qualified 9th. And it took him about 24 laps just to get to the lead the first time. Led for a few. Lost the lead during pit stops under the caution period. So we are halfway home. 45 down, 45 to go. Been racing for just under an hour so far. We'll have a little bit of a break between live streams today. Again, 2:30 is when our pre-race coverage starts at the Dover Motor Speedway for live race commentary of that race later today on the channel. Duramax Dryden 400, the NASCAR Cup Series. So having fun with this doubleheader Sunday afternoon of action on the channel. Like and subscribe if you're new for more daily NASCAR content. Video game live streams during the week with realistic commentary and realistic commentary for the real races on race weekends as well, as you'll see later today. Same commentary you're seeing here, you'll see that later. If you like NASCAR, this is the place to be on the daily. All in the hopes of hopefully one day getting myself in the booth for real races down the road. Interesting, Bubba Wallace starts 9th at Dover. Out-qualified Kyle Busch, qualified 10th. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of speed the 2311 cars have today, because Kurt Busch was top 5 in practice, but he didn't qualify well. Bubba Wallace wasn't great in practice. He was outside the top 20, I believe, but then still ended up qualifying in the top 10. But Wallace has been pretty good in qualifying this year. We'll just see how he runs in the race. Dover's a very difficult racetrack to pass on as well. Definitely saw that during the Xfinity race yesterday. It was possible, but it's very, very difficult. It's so tight off the exit of the corner. If you don't have a car cleared and you're the car on the bottom, it's hard to get that momentum back. When you go into the corner and get underneath another car, you have to hope you clear them. We've seen a lot of slipping and sliding going on today. It was fun to watch the Xfinity race yesterday. I didn't get to see the end of it because I was at work. Saw a little, pretty much all of Stage 2 and the very beginning of Stage 3 while I was on my last break at work yesterday. It was a lot of fun to watch. Just in the really 60 laps or so I caught. I think we're in for a good one later today. Again, the actual race on Fox Sports 1. So if you're unable to watch it with it being on cable this week, or want to watch the race and listen to my commentary again, we'll have that live stream starting at 2:30 this afternoon. Biffle just upped his best lap time of the race, the last lap, with a 1:10.956. So about 100th of a second faster than his previous fastest lap of the race. About 7/10 of a second slower, maybe 6/10 of a second slower the following lap. Very hard to keep that consistency up on road courses, and Biffle's struggling with that right now, but when he's fast, he is definitely fast. Largest lead of the day for any driver right now, 2.3 seconds. This is the gap between first and second. Bounce off the curb for Biffle, sent him a bit wide. Stays in the gas, lost about 1/10 of a second in the S's. To Jeff Gordon, who is likely still in second place. The cautions were at lap 13 and lap 27. So this is the longest of the 3 green flag runs we have seen so far today. This one currently at 18 laps, about to be 19 this time by to the line. We have about 41 laps to go at the start-finish line as well. Again, what is the pit strategy in the final 40 laps of today's race? Will we see drivers short pit? I'm sure we will. It's definitely a good way, if you are not running too well, to cycle back out in front with a timely caution. And give yourself the shot to win, especially for those drivers who haven't won a race yet this year. Who knows? This could be the last opportunity for the road course ringers to get their wins. Great drivers that we've seen run well on road courses in the past that haven't won yet this year, like Mark Martin or Rusty Walsh has had some good runs on road courses. Ricky Rudd was really good on road courses in his time. Saw Martin in the top 5 early in the race. Qualified very well. The highest qualifying driver of the Roush Fenway Fords. We'll go back to the far chase cam for the final 40 laps in today's race. I'm used to saying tonight because we're streaming later, but streaming early this afternoon. Get your Sunday fixing of NASCAR kicked off a little early. Field got really broken up that last lap. Look at the track map on the upper right hand corner of the screen. You'll see a giant gap in the middle of the pack right now. It might have been a near accident somewhere on the racetrack. Again, we continue to stay green on the longest green flag run of the race so far. 20 laps consecutive green flag and halfway on fuel. So again, that really does dictate that about 20 laps is halfway on fuel. Window may be open to the end of the race. There's one car very slow on the front stretch right now, and I'm assuming that is somebody on pit road. I'm not sure if that's a scheduled stop or not with the window open to the end of the race right now. I'll have to see if they actually make their way off of pit road. As slow as they are, though, I'm thinking that that is an unscheduled stop, considering that they are going to go a lap down. Yeah, there's a car at heavy smoke right now. It looked like it may have been Mark Martin in the 6, which is tough. Mentioned that he might have had a shot-off strategy to win his first race this season. He had a fast car today, and if that is him, it looks like his day is going to come to an end early. We'll see if we have any takers onto pit road this time. Doesn't look like it at the front of the field. Not yet. I don't think Biffle wants to be the first car to pit road. He doesn't want to wait too much longer either. Second place is starting to run him down. It was a 2.3 second lead at one point. Now it's down to about 1.6 to 1.7. And these are as old as tires have been during green flag racing today for these drivers in the field. Jeffrey Cook, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the comment. 14 people watching, 13 likes on the stream. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't already for more daily NASCAR content. More action coming up later today. Live race commentary for the Duramax Striding 400 at Dover. The actual NASCAR Cup Series race will have the live leaderboard on the channel. The raw feed on NASCAR's website. We'll talk fantasy and other predictions in a pre-race at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll start our coverage today. But both the pre-race and the actual live race commentary will be on the same stream today. I wanted to try something a little bit different with that, so just one other stream instead of breaking it up into a pre-race live stream and then a real race live stream today. We'll try something a little different with that. And I'll test the analytics on it. See, you know, maybe if I'll start doing that more often going forward. Go to the community tab to vote for your pick of who may win today's Cup race as well. We'll also talk about that in the pre-race. I've got my pick solidified. I know who I'm picking to win today's race. And as soon as I saw the stats and saw how they were this week in practice and qualifying time-wise, I knew exactly who I was going to pick. Got my money on him this weekend. "36 laps to go. Haven't seen anybody make their way onto pit road yet. See if anybody pits this time. I don't believe so. We're kind of managing that gap now. It was cut down to 1.6, 1.7 seconds. When he had that information given to him, maybe kind of up the pace a little bit. Still nobody on pit road. One other car at least on pit road. Not sure if that's another engine failure or not. I guess we'll find out this time by the start-finish line if they're still on pit road and if there's smoke coming out of the car. And it looks like there's actually quite a few drivers that are on pit road as we speak. Looks a little bit more bunched up compared to normal on the main straightaway. So, yep, there are definitely cars on pit road. So, with 35 to go, we've seen a lot of drivers pit this lap, most of them in the back half of the field right now. Now, if you're Greg Biffle, when do you decide to pit? He's going to stay out this time. Some of them are going to go lap down, but some of them have already cycled off of pit road as well. Big mistake in the S's for Biffle. He overdrove the corner terribly. And that 1.7 to 1.8 second lead is gone. And here comes Jeff Gordon. A lot of momentum was lost there for Biffle that time. And I think now is the perfect time to short pit. Now that he lost the lead to Gordon. That was a bad mistake for Biffle on these older tires. Definitely doesn't help. It's a struggle right now. So Biffle will short pit this time by. If he's on the bottom at least, because he's on the inside in turn 6. Runs right into Gordon, into turn 7. He'll drop in line behind him. And Biffle's on his way to pit road. 70 miles per hour is the pit road speeding limit. And Biffle is on without speeding this time. He had 2 pit road speeding penalties in the last Cup race earlier in the week on Thursday night at the Levi Strauss Signature Speedway, but none tonight. The first pit stop was under caution, and this one under green, but does not speed. So here is the money stop for Biffle. They are within the fuel window to make it to the end of the race, so he's going to short pit with 34 laps to go. Four tire stop, no adjustments, and it's a clean stop for the bit. Derek Booth, welcome to the stream. Seems like one more caution will change the whole strategy. Yep, that's what I'm thinking. That's why Biffle short pitted, just to make sure. Biffle will cycle out in 23rd. Alongside Barry Baker in the 119. Kind of merged side by side in the SS. Jeff Gordon is the leader. The only sacrifice is that Gordon's going to end up leading more laps. Baker's going to go wide. He's off in the grass in the bus stop, overrunning the corner. I think he's on older tires still. I think everybody in front of Biffle right now is on older tires. So this is as far back as he's been today. 22nd, 23rd. This is on the hopes that if we get a caution, that Biffle's going to cycle back to the lead. He didn't want to risk being put back in traffic, even on fresher tires, especially this late in the race. It's been very difficult to pass all day long, whether it's for the lead or any position. Biffle, much fresher tires on the car he's racing around right now, and they're generated fantasy drivers. Incidentally moving Tim Wagner up out of the way in turn 1. Don't want to bring out a caution this far back in the pack, because remember, if Biffle's the cause of the accident, that will not be good for him. He'll have to serve himself a penalty of some sort, pitting with the rest of the field, but he can't pit for fuel or tires, so he'll gain position still, but he likely won't be the leader on the restart. If it stays green and everybody makes their pit stop, that is where the strategy could backfire, because he was in second place right behind Gordon when he pit. You'd have to assume Biffle's going to cycle back into the lead, pitting well before Gordon. But then Gordon's going to be on fresher tires once Biffle pits. Byron starting in the back. Thanks for the news update. I had no clue. Must have failed inspection pre-race today. Biffle right behind Jimmy Lane off turn 1. Lane was involved in the second and most recent caution back at lap 27. Long green flag run right now, almost 30 laps into the green flag run. If Gordon hits the line this time, we will be 30 laps into the run. Lane and Biffle side by side. Ooh, a little contact into the bus stop. Jimmy Lane bounces off the curb. He goes wide into the grass. I think he carried more speed into the bus stop than what he wanted to. Biffle got into the back of him, kind of launched him into the corner. Thirty to go in the series at the Glen. Here today. Crashed in practice, gotcha. Yeah, like I said, I didn't get to watch practice or qualifying yesterday, so I don't know, who's starting at the rear because of that, because of going to backup cars or not. We know Jeff Gordon still hasn't pit yet. He'll take as many laps led as possible. In fact, in the last 2 races, even though Biffle's won the last 2, Jeff Gordon led the most laps in both races at the Levi Strauss Signature Speedway, and then the race before that. At Las Vegas. Biffle pulls out of line, looking to make a pass on Ricky Rudd into turn 1. To the inside of the 21 car of Rudd. Easily beats him back to the gas. It clears him into the S's. You know, about 40 laps is the limit, so they're going to have to pit at about lap 70. It's about as far as they can run on fuel. About another 8 or 9 more laps for Gordon. And he has to run before he pits. I think staying out now, you might as well just stay committed to keep staying out as long as you can on fuel. And just hope that you can cycle back through most of the pack on fresher tires. IndyCar race just started. Yeah, I saw that. They're at Barber this weekend, I believe. Alabama. I haven't seen the track, but I've seen exits for it when I went to Talladega the last couple seasons. It's not too far away. From Talladega Superspeedway. He's got a big run on the 22 car of Wimmer, who goes wide into the grass after the bump from Biffle. It's like Glen was able to get around Wimmer as well after the contact. Twelve more cars in front of Biffle still have to pit. Terry Labonte's on his way in this time. .26 laps to go for Jeff Gordon, who leads and has likely led the most laps today after qualifying on the pole. He didn't qualify on the pole, he definitely qualified on the outside of the front row as he was able to lead the first 13 laps of today's race. Hellbilly Deluxe, welcome to the stream. Think the race is getting rained out? Why do you say that? I didn't think there was a chance of rain today at Dover. And race leader Jeff Gordon is on pit road right now with 25 laps to go. Still the leader for now. We'll see if anybody else will stay out to try and lead a lap. It doesn't look to be the case right now. I think each of the top 9 are on pit road. And here comes Greg Biffle on the main straightaway. Gets past the start-finish line. Going to try to cycle up ahead of these cars that are working their way off pit road. Biffle slides into turn 1. Easily going to come out the other end with the race lead. So with Biffle short pitting by about 10 laps before Jeff Gordon, it looks like Biffle's going to have about a 6.5 second lead or so. Michael Waltrip is blowing an engine as he'll try to limp his car back to pit road. No apron on this track, so really, hopefully, it doesn't end up causing an accident. Biffle's got a 6.7 second lead. He'd hate to see this go away because of a late yellow. Seen a lot of late cautions in recent races this season. Waltrip's got a long ways to go to try and get back to pit road. .24 to go. Not sure where Waltrip's at on the racetrack yet. Biffle caught him in the S's, so he may end up having to catch him again before he even gets all the way to pit road. Caution! 67 to go, and I think Michael Waltrip may have been drilled from behind, if I had to guess. Casey Mears in turn number 5. Mears smears the back of Michael Waltrip, who was on the outside of the track right as Mears was exiting turn 5, ran into the back of him, heavy hit. And that is our third caution of the day with 24 laps to go. And Biffle has about 10 lap older tires than everybody behind him. Not everybody, but most of the cars behind him. I'm going to include some of the fastest cars who have already led laps today. Green flag back in the air, 20 laps to go at Watkins Glen. Single file restart. Biffle nails the restart through turn 1. Gordon goes a bit wide, and Dale Jr. looking for second place underneath Gordon, who restarted in third, and Jr.'s got the spot. We'll see if we make it the rest of the way without a caution, or if this will be the final restart. Biffle's got to hold on for a long time on the fresher tires. Dale Jr. goes wide. He's off in the grass, and he merges his way back into traffic as he loses multiple positions. Side by side for the new second place battle between Bobby Labonte, who's still winless on the year, and Jeff Gordon. They battle and may allow Biffle to pull away. He's got over half a second lead. Gordon on the outside, Labonte on the inside in 6. Labonte on the outside in 7. Gordon on the inside now as they transition back. Still side by side for second place. Labonte clear now off of turn 7, beating Gordon back to the throttle. Race high. Second place position for Bobby Labonte. Does he have anything for Biffle? Assuming he's got a little bit fresher tires, it could help. Now, they will even out by the end of the race as far as the tires go. For right now, it's definitely going to be a factor for a little bit after this restart. I don't know if Labonte has the speed in his race car, though, compared to Gordon, Earnhardt, and even Tony Stewart to be able to have a shot. Definitely the best restart of the day for the Biff. Of course, it was the first one he got the restart in the lead as well, so that probably helped. $18 laps to go this time by. Looks as if Bobby Labonte's still hanging on to second. don't trust that this race is going to go green even the final 20 laps of the race. Even though the last green flag run was just over 30 laps, about 36 laps was that last green flag run. And that was the longest of the race. The 2 green flag runs before that, though, were only 10 laps and 14 laps. Field bunch back together, that's where mistakes can definitely be made. Chastain merch. Not for me, at least. Rocking the Blaney gear again today. It is race day, of course, for the Cup Series. Wearing it every race day. .3 seconds and growing for Greg Biffle with his lead over second place. It could be the final restart of the day. Looked up the forecast. I'll take your word for it. Yeah, I didn't see anything earlier in the week, at least. I haven't checked the weather at Dover for a few days. But last I saw, it was only like a 4% chance of rain, so I doubt it. Earl Arnold Jr., welcome to the stream. 15 likes so far. We'll see if we can get to 20 in the final 16 laps of today's race. Again, first race of our doubleheader. Next race we'll be doing live commentary for the Cup Series race at Dover later this afternoon. Didn't think I was live streaming today. With this? Yeah, I was still live streaming this even though still doing the live race commentary. B40, welcome to the stream. Watch me more than regular NASCAR. Appreciate it. A little mistake by Biffle this lap has costed him about 0.2 of a second of his lead after getting into the wall right around where the bus stop was. And Labonte closes the gap just a little bit. A mistake off turn 6 as well. Biffle got a little loose. Powering back into the throttle. Again, he's on a bit older tires than the cars behind him, just trying to maintain the gap. Labonte was an overall 0.3 of a second quicker that last lap than Greg Biffle with a couple mistakes Biffle made. 2 separate corners on that last lap. Still 15 laps to go. Plenty of time still for the field behind him to try to run down Biffle. Biffle needs to stay mistake-free. Biffle may go on to lead the most laps today. If he can lead all the way to the end of the race, it's going to be a good chunk of laps. I know Gordon's led quite a few in this one. There's a good chance, though, that Jeff Gordon could lead the most laps 3 consecutive races and not win any of those 3 races. Not sure who directly is in line behind Labonte right now. It looks like it may be Rusty Wallace, but I could be wrong. If it is, both Labonte and Wallace searching for their first wins of the season. 14 to go. 1.1 second lead. Biffle back to about 1/10 quicker than Labonte the last lap. Like I said, as soon as Labonte took second place over on the restart, I just don't think he's got as fast of a car as some of those other cars who restarted in second and third, like Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon. Jr. got the second initially off the restart, but then he overran the bus stop, went wide in the grass, and lost a bunch of positions, and Gordon held on to second for a couple laps until Labonte took it away, and Labonte now in the driver's seat trying to run down Biffle. Biffle gapped him quite a bit in the bus stop that time. Great set of corners for the Biff. Still 13 to go at the line. Remember, caution could end the race if it is within that final 5 lap stretch as well. I say that because it could actually happen. We haven't seen a caution end a cup race this season. We did see it happen a couple times between all three, well, not the Truck Series, but between the Busch and the Cup Series before on this game and the first season in each of those 2 series. We haven't seen it happen in the custom schedule season. We've seen some green-white checkers, and it's come close to ending a race, like a one-lap shootout in the season opener at Daytona for the Busch Series. But we haven't seen it end a race yet. That'd be the only way Biffle would want another caution, is if it ended the race. Still too many laps out, though, for that to happen now. Though we are enough laps in where if a caution happens, lap cars would have to line up behind the lead lap cars. Then again, though, I think everybody's on the lead lap anyway. With the 3 yellows we've had today, they've been evenly spaced out enough that there hasn't been any lap traffic that the leaders have had to deal with at any point in time in today's race. So I guess that wouldn't have really mattered if we were in the final 10 laps or not. 12 to go. Still a little over 10 minutes away yet. Biffle was a lot faster than Labonte that last lap, and I almost wonder if they're battling a little bit harsher for second place with one another. That is allowing Biffle to gap those guys a little bit more, because Biffle's last lap was about a half a second slower than his fastest lap of the race. So he's not running blistering fast times right now. We know he's that much faster than Labonte because he has been all day, whether he's had the clean air or equally challenging dirty air. Back in traffic. $11 to go. Really hoping nobody blows an engine in traffic either, because that's how we saw the last caution, was Michael Waltrip trying to limp his way back to pit road, and he got smeared by mirrors off the exit of turn 5. Waltrip was just trying to limp his car back around to pit road, and Mears had nowhere to go off the exit of a blind corner. It's just such a high-rated speed compared to what Waltrip was going. They tried to keep it green as long as they could, but just was not successful enough. Took Harvick as your streak driver. I don't really think Harvick's a bad pick for any racetrack, most tracks. Maybe on a road course, but that would pretty much be about it. And even road courses that they've raced at before, like Sonoma and Watkins Glen, would be bad. He's got a lot of experience at. I think he could pull through for you at Dover today. 10 laps to go. Biffle has just clinched the most laps led. So that's good for him. 2-second lead over second place. F1 fuel, but again, plenty good to the end. Not going to be an issue. Biffle's about 6 to 7 laps to the good before the last caution came out. Now he's probably somewhere between that 9 to 10 laps to the good range. No green-white checker overtime restarts past the scheduled distance today. Again, we are racing strictly to lap 90. Had a 2.1 second lead up the exit of turn 1 on this lap. Largest lead since the restart. And another win would be a 16th of the season, and it would be 3 in a row, 4 in the last 5 races for the Biff. What a streak at the end of the year. He slumped a little bit midway through the season. Junior took the points lead briefly. Took it halfway through the year, and then he took it again with about 12 races to go. But ever since Michigan, with Dale Jr. blew an engine, giving Biffle the points lead again, Biffle hasn't not led in points since. He's only grown that lead more often than not as well. $500-mile race at the California Speedway will be the next race on the season. Biffle won the race there earlier this year. That one went caution-free. This one will be under the lights this time around instead of in the daytime. It'll be another 500-miler. There is a car on pit road that did blow an engine, but they were able to make it to the pit, so we continue to stay green. Didn't really look like it broke the field much either. They must have been at the back of the pack anyway. 8 laps to go. By the way, second place a little bit quicker than Biffle that last lap by a couple tenths of a second. About a 1.7 second lead at the start-finish line. Back out to about 1.9 again off the exit of turn 1 as they head through the S's. Now down to 7 to go. Seen the leader lose the lead on 2 of the 3 restarts we have had today. Dale Jr. got around Jeff Gordon after the first restart, and after the second restart, Tony Stewart got around Jeff Gordon as well, and Biffle on this most recent restart restarted in the lead and kept the lead. Make it back to the start-finish line this time by, and a couple more corners. It'll be the second longest green flag run of the race today. We'll have 6 laps to go. Did make it. 2.2 second lead for Biffle. A little bit faster than second place that last lap. After the lap before, he wasn't as quick as second place. Only about 4/10 of a second off his fastest time in this race today. So they ran a couple lap times in the 1 minute 10 second lap barrier. Hasn't done any of those kinds of laps since the restart. But he's definitely keeping a consistent pace. Really, at this point in the run as well, the tires aren't really mattering as much. They've evened out. If there's going to be any shot, there's going to be initially on that restart within the first 10 laps if somebody was going to be able to take advantage of a little bit fresher tires than what Biffle had. Five to go at the line. And the closer we get to the end of this race, more of a chance if we see a caution, it could end the race from here on out. Now we're only going to have about 1 or 2 laps left on a restart. Biffle looking for another max points day on the season after leading the most laps today, clinching it about 4 or 5 laps ago. Making his way off of turn 5. Growing the lead again, faster than second place this last lap. No lack in speed for Biffle over the recent laps. Continuing to try to stride on at 111.193 that last lap. One of his quicker laps since the restart. And he's got a 2.6 second lead over second place with 4 to go. They get to the final 3 laps if we see a caution, it will end the race. This one, it's the question mark lap. If we did get a restart, we'd only have 1 lap left. But if Biffle gets to 3 to go, that's going to be a lot more comfortable. He's taken that many laps under caution before a restart the last few times. Two-tenths of a second quicker again than second place that last lap. A 111.277. A little bit slower than the lap before, but he was still quicker. And now that we have 3 to go, Biffle's in prime position to win this race. Going to be the 4th win on a road course this season for Biffle. Of the 16 wins for the number 16 car. It'll be career win number 17. 3 in a row, 4 of the last 5. On a bunch of different style of racetracks. 2 intermediates, a short track, and now a road course to go on that stretch. Season finale at Talladega. He's not been good on the super speedways in the first 5 super speedway races this season. So that's why it's so crucial to try and clinch the championship a race early. As of right now, he's in position to do it as he has just over 1 race lead the points coming in. And the fact that it's going to be a max points day for himself. Leading the most laps and winning the race. That is going to be huge, and he'll grow that points lead out even more following this race today at the Glen. It was a question mark of a race as to how the cautions would play out. We knew we were going to get some. We had 3. Biffle's strategy was played out correctly. It's a good thing he did short pit, because if he would have taken that run out to about lap 70, we were probably going to end up seeing... Well, we did see a caution before lap 70, really. Lap 67 was the last caution flag. And he would have had to start all the way in the back of the pack. He wouldn't have had a shot to win, so it's a good thing he short pitted when he did. Cycled back in the lead on the restart. Final lap. And then we'll have 4 races to go for Greg Biffle to try and win this championship, as we'll pick things up another week. Tomorrow night's live stream will be at Nashville Super Speedway on NASCAR 21 Ignition. The full race live stream there, and then any NASCAR 5 streams for this week will be Busch Series races. Try to catch up on that season because we have 10 races still to go there. And we'll pick things up the following week for the Cup Series on this game, so we'll have a week off late in the season here. Left front tire starting to wear out a little bit. with a few corners still to go. Two more turns. And just over a 3-second lead for Greg Biffle. Had to restart with 20 laps to go, but he nailed it. Didn't look back. Checkered flag is in the air. Win number 16 for the number 16. The Biff is back in victory lane for the 4th time as he wins at Watkins Glen, another road course win this year. 4 of them on road courses. And now the victory celebration on the main straightaway. First career win at Watkins Glen for Biffle. Never won here in his entire Cup Series career. We'll get him that win today. Biffle out of gas. Nah, not in this victory celebration. We still have over a quarter tank of fuel left. And the smoke show is over. We'll take a look at the finishing results, followed by the season standings. 2 hours, 19 minutes total time on this race today. 3 cautions for 9 caution laps and 9 lead changes. Driver who started ninth goes on to lead the most laps and win the race. 48 of the 90 laps led today for Biffle. Bobby Labonte finishes runner-up at 2nd. Rusty Wallace 3rd. Jimmy Johnson 4th. And Dale Jarrett rounds out the top 5. Matt Kenseth finishes 6th. Tony Stewart 7th. Jeff Gordon fell back to 8th on the last restart. He led 26 laps today. Stewart led 1. Jeff Burton finishes 9th. And Kurt Busch rounds out the top 10. So Dale Jr. did not get a top 10 finish today. Jeff Gordon did, keeping his top 10 streak alive. And still, Gordon has the most top 10s on the season. Dale Earnhardt Jr., he went wide on that restart. I think he blew an engine late. He did. Dale Jr. blew an engine with 6 laps to go in the race after leading 15 laps, and that's going to take him out of the championship. Big points lead over Jr., and now it's a 2-horse race between Gordon and Biffle. It's 2 blown engines for Jr. in the last 6 races. And again, it was in a race where he ran good all day. He was in the top 5, but 6 laps to go. He blows an engine, finishes 40th. Joe Nemechek blew an engine as well. His teammate Michael Walter blew an engine, so not a great day at all for DEI. And then Mark Martin blew an engine just past halfway, lap 50. Those were the 4 drivers who failed to finish the race today. 3.2 seconds is the margin of victory. Average race speed 94.81 miles an hour. Unbelievable. Greg Biffle is your winner. And it's starting to get more and more of a comfortable lead heading into the Pop Secret 500 under the lights at California Speedway in the next race in a couple weeks. Finish strong next race, might win the championship. That's possible. If I do clinch the championship early, I'm not going to run the final 3 races. Kind of like I did with, the Truck Series custom schedule season. We clinched the title 1 race early, so we didn't run the final race. $304-point lead now, finishing 7 spots higher than Jeff Gordon and getting 5 more bonus points than Gordon today. And then again, Dale Jr., who came in 205 points back, finishes 40th with 5 bonus points today. That drops him from 2nd to 3rd in the standings. He is 347 back with just a couple races to go. So I guess they're still both in contention, but they're going to need Biffle to likely DNF out of one of these last 4 races. Just to even have a shot going into the final race at Talladega. So Biffle keeping his top 2 streak alive. That's 6 straight top 2s, 4 wins in the last 5. And that's going to wrap things up for our first stream of the day. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I'll see you guys at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the start of the live race commentary for today's NASCAR Cup Series Duramax Dryden 400 at the Dover Motor Speedway. I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Race is on Fox Sports 1 today, so it's on cable. So if you can't watch, definitely tune in. I'll have the coverage for you guys here on the channel. And even if you can watch, maybe tune into the live stream and you can watch the race along with us. Or listen to my commentary over Fox's. Not sure how it's going to be. They've been hit or miss today. I will say the last couple weeks have been a lot better, but we'll see how this week goes for them. Thank you, and I'll see you then.